All right, Nicole, thank you for jumping on today. For the audience, we've connected on none other than social media, which I feel like is kind of the main source of our communication in the world today. So certainly appreciate you having coming on. We are incredibly interested in the real estate space. I mean, as an outsider looking in, I'm not in it day to day, but we obviously follow the news and whatnot. And what I like to get from folks in your shoes, Nicole, is really kind of the inside scoop of what real estate actually looks like today. Because who knows what what these news outlets are hitting on in terms of whether it's accurate information or not. So again, thank you for joining us. But just to kind of kick it off, Nicole, if you could just do a quick intro of yourself and where you're at and all that good stuff, we'll go forward from there.
All right. My name is Nicole Leininger. I'm with Ivester Jackson Properties, Christie's International at the Lake Norman office in Mooresville. I have been doing real estate for 19 years and specifically in North Carolina for about 9 years. Majority of my business is around the lake because that's where I live, but pretty much do everything from the South Carolina state line all the way up past Statesville and everything in between. So
Awesome.
have a pretty wide radius.
Yeah.
And what was the other question? Sorry.
That's a quick intro. That's perfect. Yeah. How did you get started in real estate? I know we were talking pre-roll, it was kind of a family thing, but I think you mentioned your husband's in it, but what kind of drew you into the industry?
So my dad was a real estate agent. He retired after 45 years. And so was my grandfather. He owned a ton of investment properties and had his own firm.
Okay.
So in a sense, it's just what I grew up with and grew up around. So my brother is a commercial real estate agent in Colorado, and it's a family business. We only worked together as a team for a short period of time because I moved out of Colorado, and became an independent agent after that, after I moved from the family team and when they retired. But yeah, I kind of joke around that my kids have no choice because I already make them help me do things. So I'll probably drag them into it as well.
So are you just on the residential side or do you dabble a little bit in commercial as well?
For right now, I'm busy enough in the residential. So I, prefer to refer out for the commercial side of things.
Got it. Okay. And so you're very familiar with kind of that North Charlotte, Lake Norman area, but you've got your license in South Carolina as well, which makes a lot of sense. So we run a junk removal company, Nicole, and we've since franchised it and we're looking to take it, national is a loaded term. We eventually want to be national, but we certainly want to start to cover kind of our patch here across the state of North Carolina and getting obviously into the Southeast a little bit, probably first and foremost. So I'm always curious, regardless of the industry, whether it's real estate or I'm talking with another business owner in home services or anything, just from a branding perspective on, what the advantages are specifically in real estate to a person like you who's got so much familiarity with a specific section of Charlotte like Lake Norman. How have you seen that play to your advantage or maybe your disadvantage when talking with buyers and sellers about them working with you? I mean, is that something you really try to like hone in on? Is like, I know this area, I know the market well. And is that received well by buyers and sellers when you talk to them about that?
Yeah, because they want to know more than just the home that they're buying. They want to know about local schools or local churches. And, they really trust in me and for my referrals from anybody that, they need help with, especially people coming from out of state.
Yeah.
They need everything from a painter to a mover to a doctor to a hairstylist. So it's just like I kind of look at myself too as a connector. So for example, I have some people moving and their son is going to be starting first grade and he's scared and for obvious reasons, but it's like, I have other clients that go to the same school. So I'm connecting them for like a play date ahead of time so that he can meet people before he goes to school. So it's all about just community. And I do think that it's an advantage because it is hard for people to know everything about every place. Mm-hmm. So if you have little niches and a lot about specific areas, it benefits the buyer more than just having like general knowledge to have personal knowledge with things.
Totally. I get that totally. And I have to imagine probably a lot of your book of business, correct me if I'm wrong here, has nowadays probably comes by word of mouth and referrals, but how in the early days did you brand yourself and start to get listings and closings in that sort? What was, did you have kind of like a go-to avenue?
So yeah, referrals has always been my number one lead generation, but the last 2.5 years, my YouTube channel has really grown. So I have created videos just becoming that local expert, not only showing my listings, but just I started with taking the lake and dividing it into each city around the lake to
Mm-hmm.
showcase, Mooresville, Cornelius, just all the places people can live and still have access to Lake Norman. And then I also did the same with Charlotte to just, my favorite restaurant, my favorite park, my favorite neighborhood, just to kind of give people a quick glimpse of what it's like to live here.
Yeah.
And the YouTube channel has just grown to where this year I had about 12 clients, 12 closings that came from YouTube.
Wow. Yeah,
And
that's
it is fun
amazing.
to start to get recognized at the grocery store. Or I was with my kids in Brookdale last week and somebody said something, and my daughter's like, this is getting weird.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's kind of the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And so I'm curious to know, from an online perspective, we as business owners, realtors, folks that are building brands, we kind of go to those outlets. At least I default to it, and try to connect with folks there. Try to make. I feel like it's very human, right? It's I'm going to put out, and I don't mean to be cliche, but I'm going to put out value here, put out value there, and hopefully it helps folks. And then whenever they run across a need, looking for a home, looking to sell a home, maybe they remember me in some form or fashion. What's been kind of your approach to like your YouTube channel? What's kind of the undertone of it? Is I think you just alluded to it a little bit, right? So you're kind of highlighting different pockets of Lake Norman, the neighborhoods and the cities around it, because there are folks outside looking in may not know that there's a bunch of towns and cities around Lake Norman, Sherrills Ford, Terrell, I may be butchering that name, Cornelius, Davidson, Mooresville, of course. What's been your approach to like your YouTube channel or any other social media platform of outside of just highlighting the neighborhood? Any other kind of nuggets of information of how you've tried to brand yourself?
Well, we've done a good mixture of those local highlights, kind of showing the areas, but then we also do shorter videos of tips and tricks of
Yeah.
real estate, just kind of like general questions that I guess get asked on a regular basis. Obviously,
Mhm.
the general consumer might be thinking of the same thing.
Yeah.
So, home inspections, how to maintain a dock, just the closing process, just anything that happens during a transaction. I've made shorter videos on those just to answer those types of questions and to give little tidbits, information. So not only am I, the real estate expert, but the local expert for things to do and things around town.
How important is it to have a team in your world, Nicole? So I know you work at Ivester Jackson. Like I assume that's been a good experience for you, but I've always been intrigued by this because realtors are really I don't want to say you're on an island because you work at a firm and you've got support there, but you really are kind of your own business. What's
Mhm.
how important, or I guess maybe how often do you lean on team members, whether that's folks in marketing or other realtors that work at the firm, to maybe help you move a sale along, or just going back and forth on ideas of, oh, here's the best way to list this home, or here's the best offer to maybe put in on this home. Can you talk a little bit about just the team aspect of it?
Yeah, I think supporting each other is very important and to help people. I have been a mentor to some other agents that might just be starting or struggling with an aspect. I'm happy to help people. But then we also have like a mastermind group that meets once a month to do exactly
Mhm.
what you just said. It's like, I did this marketing and it worked great for me this month, and that might help somebody else. Or, you can share an idea saying, I'm struggling this way. What would you suggest I do? So
Yeah.
we do have smaller groups that meet on a regular basis. As far as a real estate team, I've always worked individually. I
Hmm.
did just hire my first assistant, but more on the transaction side of things. And I have nothing against bigger teams, not so much the brokerage. Like we all support each other within the firm. But I do know out there's some people that have teams as far as like buyers agents and listing agents. And um, I want help, but I always want people, if they find me on YouTube or they call me, to work with me
Hmm.
versus somebody on my team.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I like to collaborate within my office and support each other. And I have even like say co-listed
Okay.
before where we have two agents. You have to be with the same firm, but there's several reasons why somebody might co-list, but a lot of times if we have to be present for showings or for marketing dollars, there's several reasons too. So, I'm
Mhm.
definitely open to that to just
Yeah.
get more support and help with listings too.
Here's a fun question, at least for me, but in your experience, what's been kind of the oddest or most nuanced question that somebody's asked you during the the listing process, or maybe you've gone into contract and now there's another thing that either the buyer or the seller is asking you, Nicole, to do? What's been like the weirdest or oddest request that you've ever gotten?
Oh gosh, I'd have to think about that one. I mean, as everybody knows, commission is always a negotiation point. People think that,
Mm,
we should throw it in for an inspection item or to make things, come to fruition. And there's a time and a place for everything, but that's often the first thing that gets asked if
yeah,
needed. But as far as, I don't know. It's hard. A lot of times I always say the glamorous life of real estate because one time I was told that you know, after mowing the lawn, picking weeds, picking up spider webs, asked if I was passionate about my listing. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just spent 6 hours,
yeah,
doing all of this. So there's a lot of kind of, I guess you could say, behind the scenes stuff.
yeah,
So I don't know. I'd have to think of like a direct question that I've been asked, but it's not all kind of what it appears to be. I did have somebody say to me that they wanted to become a real estate agent because to look at all the pretty houses like it,
yeah,
that you see on TV. And I'm like, there's so much more than,
yeah.
yes, I do look at pretty houses, but that's the
Yeah.
easy side.
I don't know if it's because I come from a sales background. I've been in technology sales for a while, and obviously we're commission based a lot of the time, and so I tend to side and understand the realtors world, at least from the outside looking in, and what I would ask a realtor to do for me or not do. Um, and I tell folks all the time, I would never do a home deal, whether I'm buying or selling, without a realtor involved, right? You've got a lot of for sale by owner people. And I'm like, I don't want to use the word scared, but that just does not excite me in the least to take
Right.
out a realtor from this whole process. And beyond that, I think what people get caught up in is kind of what you just mentioned, right? They see a lot of the stuff online, obviously $1 million listing TV shows, stuff on Instagram and social media accounts that's just big and beautiful things in architecture, and then they look at learn about what the realtor gets paid in terms of a commission. They start seeing, oh, this is a $5 million sale, it's $1 million sale, you get a 3% commission, whatever the case may be. Like, that's a large sum of money. What they don't realize is that realtors' lives, it's ebb and flow. I would have to imagine for you, you may go a month without making a sale, or you may go a month and have 5 or 10 closings. Who knows? But like your life is much more like, and I don't want to call it in turmoil, but it's less easily forecasted. And so, like, yeah, you may make a nice commission on a massive sale, but they don't see everything that went into the prep work, all the behind the scenes stuff that you maybe had to do to get that
Mhm.
buyer to negotiate down, or whatever the case may be. I know I'm preaching to the choir here talking to you, but for those on the phone, or for those listening in, it's a whole different. It's like me with technology sales. Like, I could pick up the phone and chat with somebody today and have a deal done in a week or two, but 99% of my deals are 6+ months, if not longer, 12 months to 18, before we even see a purchase order. And even at that stage, it's not like the deal hasn't even, like, the project hasn't even begun yet, at least in my world. And I don't get paid until the check starts rolling in from the client. So we're, you know, oftentimes a year out from our commissions. But nonetheless,
Right.
um, in terms of national headlines that we see as just the general consumers, right? With housing trends, interest rates are up. There's less buyers out there for sellers to transact it. How much do you think that those headlines actually align with what's happening in the local Charlotte market? Are they in line? Are we completely out of line, and we're doing great here in real estate in Charlotte? What's your angle look like there?
Compared to other states, I think we're very steady and very strong. So I'm still friends and still network with a lot of agents in other states. And I do feel that they have had more of kind of like the roller coaster where it's, really busy 1 minute. And then I had somebody from Colorado said it was like flipping a light switch where it just like all went dead.
Yeah.
And here I've been very consistent where I think we have a good mix where some listings do sit a little bit longer, but like this weekend, I was one of 7 offers in a bidding war.
Mm.
So we still have enough buyers and lack of inventory that if it's priced right, shows well, great area, it will absolutely get multiple offers.
Yeah. Got it.
So I do think it's holding steady, and with all the headlines about the interest rates, I get it because a lot of people had a much lower interest rate a few years ago, but I also like the train of thought where it's like, would you rather buy a house now and refi in 2 years, or wait 2 years and be in bidding wars and pay 50,000 over?
Mm-hmm.
So, they always say it's the right time to buy when the person is ready, not the interest rate, all that can change. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
whenever the person is ready is the best time to buy.
Totally. And I always come back to like, what's the opportunity cost lost? Like if you want or need a house now or within the next year, like you should be looking at that, like seriously considering it. And when the right property pops up, maybe you jump on it. But like if you're going to try to wait it out, you may wait it out a year, 2, 5, or 10 years, expecting something different to happen, and it doesn't, or it does, and it's the opposite direction that you needed to go. Maybe interest rates continue to go up, or maybe all the
Right.
homes around that Lake Norman pocket that you really love never come on the market. And so, it's kind of like with like buying a car. Like if you really think you need a car, like regardless what the interest rates are, like you should go and explore and look at the best option for you today or in the next 30, 60, 90 days and make that move, because the opportunity cost of waiting a year, 2, 5 and not buying the car, like, well, you lost all that time where you could have had this thing. So nonetheless, I think that's kind of the lens I always look through. What's your goal for your personal career, Nicole, in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be? Are you just looking to kind of expand and be successful here in the local markets? I know you mentioned to get down into South Carolina a bit, or do you have grandiose plans of doing something like Ryan Serhant maybe has done
Right.
on with all that? What's that look
Yeah.
like?
No, I'm just happy where I'm at and to continue to grow. And like I said, I never want to be like a big team,
Yeah.
but now that I do have some help, I will increase my goals for each year.
Mm.
So, we're our best competition. So I'm just always against myself to continue to improve and grow, and just to continue with the YouTube. And,
Yeah.
I think it's amazing the people that do the bigger teams, or the, Ryan, I can never say his last name,
Serhant.
Sirhan,
Yeah.
to do those things and all the, reality TV stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm happy with my group of clients and the rate that I'm going. But as an individual agent, it's been very good.
Yeah. So some of the questions I asked you before about just like how your familiarity with the patches that you cover there in Lake Norman tie back into kind of my thoughts about just these, and obviously no bashing Ryan Serhant. He's obviously done something right, but like
Right.
his grandiose plans of being national or even worldwide. I think I saw a video where he was listing a home in Monaco, and I was like, there's no way like he knows that area, right, as
Mhm.
well as the local real estate agent does. And so it was just an interesting question, I thought. um, Other folks looking to get into this industry, Nicole, young people coming out of school looking to find their career paths, maybe they want to dabble in real estate, see if it's for them, what would your advice be for those folks about the industry in general?
Just to keep going and to be consistent. I know a lot of people that get started and they do a mailer and they're like, nobody called me. Well, you have to do it like every month for a year. Or, and I also say don't go after every shiny object, because, you have to buy these leads or buy this magazine. And when I first started, I felt that I did that. I tried everything and I felt like I was just throwing a bunch of money and got zero response. So it's kind of like you have to find, the social media platform that you do best on. You can't do all of them. So just pick the one that you do best on.
Yeah.
And And it's all just about consistency, but definitely video. And not just because I do YouTube, but just because video is the new, the new way of the future, I guess. Cause like what we're doing now, or it lives longer and people can watch it 24/7 versus, say you do a post only lasts for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So everything is really moving to video. So I'd say to get comfortable with video, and open houses are doing really well again, to where that's where a lot of people meet clients.
Right.
That was actually one of my first clients in North Carolina when I moved here the first time, was an open house, and they had to sell in order to buy. And that was my first client, was from an open house. So
Got it.
just definitely to be consistent and find somebody to help you, a mentor or somebody you can shadow for a little while, because that's the best way to learn.
Yeah. Awesome. And my last question, we always like to end it on this one, and it probably kind of ties back into the one you just answered. But like, if you could go back to your younger self, whether you're coming out of school or whenever that was, getting into real estate, what would you tell yourself then, what you know now, and or would you do anything differently?
Just follow up is key, and staying in touch with people. So past clients, and I've backtracked and made up a lot of time, but felt I could have done it more efficiently over the years. But for example, as I mentioned, I've been licensed in Pennsylvania, California, Colorado, and North Carolina. And when I first moved and I was younger, I just moved and walked away. I really didn't like keep in touch with everybody and nourish those relationships. And now that I have gotten a lot of business from networking, from agent to agent referrals, not only is it important to keep in touch with the past client in those other states, but also to create relationships with other agents too, in all different states. So it's like, even if somebody might have a referral for Raleigh, I don't work in Raleigh, but I always want to be top of mind for North Carolina. So they can call me because I do know people in other locations. And then same with YouTube, a ton of my clients are from out of state, because that's where they Google, areas that they want to move to. So I've become a big referral agent to help them get a listing wherever they're coming from.
Yeah.
So I've built a lot. I'd say the younger me is just to cherish those relationships and build your network of people, because whether it's educational purposes or business purposes, it all comes back around.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. Well, Nicole, we appreciate you jumping on. We'll let you get back to your day. I know the realtors world is a crazy one, so your time is valuable. But again, we appreciate it. If folks can, if you want folks to find you, where's the best place for them to reach out to you?
Easiest would be phone number. So again, it's Nicole Leininger, 704-450-6280. Or my website is NicoleLeininger.com.
Awesome. We'll make sure to link that here. Again, we appreciate it, and good luck the rest of this year and into 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great meeting you.